What's up, you guys, and welcome back to a new episode of the Barrens Hideout podcast. I'm Anna.
I'm Dustin.
And I'm other Dustin.
Yes, and I'm a little nervous because we have another
Oh,
interview today. We're very excited for. If you guys have been keeping up with the part of our show called Tales from the Barrens, we released our third episode, and one of the shorts we covered was called Fishwife. And we are delighted to have the writer, director, and producer Beth Park here with us today. Beth, thank you so much for
Hell
coming
yeah.
over to the Barrens and spending
Thank,
some time with us.
thank you so much for having me. Please don't be nervous. I'm a human being.
Right. Thank you.
But no, it's so lovely to be here. I had a little sneak preview of the review, and I was so pleased to hear how much you guys loved it. I'll come at you one Dustin about the special effects points I got docked.
yes.
Um,
Oh,
that was my only
Wait, who?
Yeah.
Oh, it was that Dustin. It wasn't this
other
Dustin.
yeah, it was the
I wanted
creature.
more. I wanted more.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, let me know when it's my cue, and I'll get back on that one.
Oh shit.
Sure, sure,
Yeah. I
sure.
Also, I'm sorry if my audio quality is poor. I don't have a
No,
microphone.
it's actually perfect.
No, you
It's
sound
perfect.
great. Yeah, you sound great.
Cool.
How long had you thought about Fishwife? Was this something that you had planned on making for a while, or did it just kind of did inspiration strike and it hit you kind of thing?
It was relatively spontaneous. I didn't actually even know that I wanted to be a director when I started making it. It was the
Hmm.
first thing I'd really done, and I just had this idea. Um, it's early on in the film, so it's not really a spoiler, but for anyone who hasn't watched it. But anyway, you know the bit where the guy is like going through her skirt, which has the blood on it. He's like outside
Yes.
the house and he's going through the skirt. I just had this like mental image of like, what if there was just an old man going through like your menstrual waste, basically? Like,
Yeah.
what a horrible image. And I just freaked myself out with that image. And I was like, okay, I'm going to start from there. And then I'm just going to like make a story around that.
Mhm.
And I wrote it quite quickly and I shot it within like a few months of writing as well, which looking back on now, is so crazy because now I'm like trying to get things made and I've made another short and I realize how hard it is to actually do. And at
Mhm.
the time, I was just so focused and inspired. And I'd got not to make you jealous, because I believe in America during the pandemic, you guys didn't get furlough money, but we in the UK got given like our income from the government when we weren't able to work. So I
Okay.
got this like lump sum of like several thousand pounds, like five
Oh wow.
thousand pounds,
Wow.
out of nowhere. And because it was the pandemic and we weren't going out, we were doing nothing. I was
Mhm.
like, I don't think we actually need to spend this on anything right now. I think I'm
Yeah,
going to make a film.
there you
Oh
Um,
yeah.
go.
and
Yeah.
then I just wrote it, and then I just got really obsessed about making it, and I did it.
Oh
That's
yeah.
great.
We had something like that here. They were called stimulus checks, where they wanted
Yeah.
us to stimulate the economy,
Right.
and that it sounds like that's what you did when it came
Yes,
to
Yes.
I did.
yeah, you stimulated the economy by making this badass short that you
Yeah.
made.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we were going to politics, but I was not a big fan of the government at the time, but I really let them off on that one. And I think that
Let,
Yeah.
let it
give me
slide.
that money.
Yeah.
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 Money? Yeah, it's
Silver
great.
linings. Yeah, absolutely. Are you a fan of like the sci-fi genre? Is that something that when you started branching out from that idea, is that where like the fishwife, like all that, the creature in the lake came into it?
Actually, no, I'm not really a sci-fi. I'm not really a sci-fi person massively. I'm more of like a folk tale and a fairy tale kind of a person.
Okay.
So yeah, the sort of creature in the lake, I know you get a lot of those in sci-fi, but for me it was more, yeah, I don't know. It didn't really feel like sci-fi to me, even if it feels like that as a viewer. To me, it was more of like a folk tale or a fairy tale.
Mhm.
I looked at this movie like a branch out of Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very Guillermo del Toro styled fantasy, Shape of Water, and shit like that. So I immediately was drawn to it
Great.
once this setting, because like we talked about in the Tales episode, like it's very new to us when trying to do these short films thing, and I'm trying not to find some that are like 18 minutes long and 9 it's the short films, but I clicked on Fishwife. And once I seen the setting, I'm like, I turned it off. I'm like, this is one we're doing. I don't care how fucking long it is.
Yeah,
Like
Um,
it is long and it is kind
it's
of a regret, but I think people like it and
Yeah.
people say like it holds for that length of time. I don't think
yeah.
everyone probably thinks that, but um I didn't learn my lesson because my second film is actually a couple minutes longer
That's
and now I'm
okay.
like, what the
oh,
hell? Why do I keep doing this? I keep writing a short script and then being like, but the location's so
Yeah.
nice. We
oh
gotta
my
Oh,
look at
God.
it for a couple of minutes.
yes,
The
absolutely.
the length wasn't the problem.
Yeah.
Like we talked about the first 7 minutes with it being silent.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's so much physical storytelling in it. I didn't care that it was 16 minutes long, like at all.
Yeah.
Like there was no wasted minute in this
Mhm.
short film because we got a beautiful story from point A to point B.
Yeah.
So I don't want it to sound like the 16-minute mark was like because it wasn't at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, but
It
I
was
know
worth it.
it's a bit
Oh,
off-putting for me when I go to watch shorts. I'm like, oh, that one's 5 minutes. I'll quickly watch that. But then I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, that was 20 minutes. So I get it. I get
there's
it.
a
Mhm.
there's a reason it has to be 16 minutes long. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's we were all in love with it. I'm gonna let Anna continue because I'm interrupting a lot.
Oh no, that's okay.
No, no, no.
Is there anything you want to tell us about the creature in the lake, or maybe are there any ties to this woman that goes beyond what we've seen, or do you want to continue to let us and everyone speculate that?
I was wondering about that because I know lots of people are like, what happens in the end? And, I want an
Mhm.
explanation. And I'm kind of on the fence as to how much I should say because I definitely want the film to speak for itself. And
Mhm.
Right.
I don't really want there to be a definitive answer right now.
Okay.
Um, but
Sure.
there's definitely things that I could tell you maybe about the creature that aren't necessarily a definitive answer.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
What I could tell you is that this is so exciting. I haven't really spoken about this before.
I
Um,
love this.
he's not the only one.
Okay, that was gonna be a
Okay.
question I was gonna ask later, is if there is a society and
Oh,
I say that
okay.
he's
All
not
right.
the only one. Um, there's so much I want to say, but
it's okay.
I don't want to be
No
definitive
pressure.
about it. He's not the only one, but it had to be him for a reason.
Okay.
And when he's like, I don't want to hurt you, he really didn't want this job that
Yeah.
he was given,
Mhm.
basically. I think I'll maybe just leave it at that. But if you have
That's
further
Sure.
fine.
questions, then I might give a little more.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
we'll
totally fine.
ask off air about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Little Dustin, do you have anything you want to ask?
Well, I want to go back and piggyback off of we were talking about the length of time. And I attend a horror fest over here called Salem Horror Fest, and they always have 2 days worth of shorts. And it's a huge short block. And I'm pretty close to the director over there, and I've helped, curate some shorts. And her motto was always like, if you're gonna have a short and it's gonna be over 10 minutes, it needs to be a really good fucking short. And this was a really good long short.
Yeah.
So some people will go and be like, oh, that's too long for me. But if you give it a chance, because there are some out there that are that length that don't need it. But this one
Right.
definitely did.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, that's
but
good. Thank you. Yeah, I definitely, massive amount of credit to the people I worked with who made it so beautiful that I
mhm.
couldn't cut it down.
Right. Oh my
It's really their
goodness.
fault, like the performances being so good and um, just the cinematography with James Oldham's cinematography and the performance of Scarlett Brooks. Um, and oh God, what's his surname? Charlie. Charlie, I worked with you so much.
Charlie,
Charlie the guy. Let me just look up his surname. So
Chuck.
this is boring. But anyway, massive amount of credit to them for making it hard for me to actually cut it down because they were so good. Charlie Bevan, of course. God, sorry.
Charlie
It's
Bevan.
okay.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very, very, very good. Short. And I want to go and say, because this is on everybody's mind lately, is Lovecraft. Is there any of that in here? Did you pull from Lovecraft to create this little world?
Actually, no. And loads of people
Oh,
say so Lovecraftian. Oh, it's so Lovecraftian. Loads of people are like, "Oh, you're inspired by Lovecraft," and I'm like, I mean, I know he has a sea creature in one of his stories,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
not really. I'm not really. I don't know. I'd say no. Um, Only in the sense that it's a water creature. But
okay.
one of the things I'm actually most proud of the film is that the mythology is my invention. Um, and
Hmm.
so it doesn't offend me when people kind of think, oh, you must have got the mythology from somewhere, because that's natural. Most people would do that. But I think that's one of my kind of strengths as a writer, is just kind of inventing things. So I'm really
Mhm.
proud of the fact that I made it seem like a myth or something that might be ancient.
Right.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
you
Yeah.
definitely did.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So I wanted to bring up, we already talked about this creature might not be the only one around. So that ruled out the question I was going to ask. So I want to ask about the set dropping and making the like this little area you found. Did it already look like the 1700s, like colonial era town?
Um, well, it was two locations. So the interior of the cottage and the exterior were actually on opposite sides of the country.
Oh
Uh,
Oh,
wow.
Wow.
yeah,
okay.
in Wales. So Wales is, it's not a massive country, but it's still a good few hours drive between them. So we shot the
Sure.
film in its entirety in 2 days, including traveling between the locations. So,
Wow.
um, the one of the craziest parts of this, I was so driven to make it, and I was so obsessed with the idea. I was so focused on it, and because I produced it myself, I had so many jobs to do, and I was so busy and anxious. And then I arrived at the cottage where we were shooting the interiors to sleep there by myself,
Ooh.
Oh
with before anyone else arrived, like the night before, with all the food. Like I'd gone to buy all the food for the crew and everything, and I'd been so busy. And then and there was no internet and no cell service or anything there
oh
because
wow.
it's really remote. And so I like shut the doors, and it was extremely dark in there because there's nothing else around. And
Mhm.
it is actually like a 17th century cottage on the
Wow.
inside. So it was really scary. And I was
Wow.
like, I
Yeah.
can't believe I'm doing this. I was so nervous as well. So the interior of the cottage, we did dress it in the sense that we brought loads of props in and like personal stuff for the character.
Sure.
But the actual like, you know, um, canvas
Mhm.
was really, really good. And then for the exterior, that was in North Wales, in Snowdonia, in this abandoned slate mine, um, which just so happened to be by a lake. I think actually originally I'd written it to be by a river, and then I found this place and I was like, let's make it a lake. That's
Why
great.
not? Yeah.
Yeah,
This
Yeah.
place
perfect.
looks great.
Mhm.
And they tied together well. So yeah, I don't think you can really tell that they're not one.
I
Oh
couldn't.
No.
You know what I
no,
mean?
No.
It's
definitely
just
not. Worked great.
yeah,
Yeah.
and Anna brought it up about like when we were talking about the short, the water itself, pitch black water. Was that actually the thing, or was that done in post?
Yeah, I mean, we did kind of obviously play with the color values and things, but it
Sure.
was no, it was it yeah, if you see photos of the place, it's dark water, and it was
Mhm.
freezing cold as
That's
well.
scary as shit.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so scary.
when we were shooting it, it was so apparently there's like a scale of wind levels that goes up to 13, and 13 is a hurricane. And it was actually 12. So it
Oh
was
Mm.
wow.
like it was
Wow.
extremely bad weather. And I brought like a big sack of towels and stuff for the actress to like warm up, and dressing gowns and stuff. And I put it down by the side of the river, and we hadn't even done one shot yet, and the bag of towels like blew into the lake,
Oh,
Oh
Oh
no.
blew into the
no.
lake, and I was like, no, the towels, and I jumped in to
oh
Oh
grab
man.
the
gosh.
towels, and we
So
hadn't
cold.
done anything yet, so I was like up above my knees in the water, um in the freezing cold water before we'd even shot anything. And then we had to start shooting, and I was like
Oh man.
it was
Man, something's gonna grab you in that water, man. That shit's
Mhm.
like just
Yeah, that's
Scary.
it's
gonna
I
be an
was
actual creature.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like Lake Loch Ness, dude. Like that water. it looks scary. It was definitely it definitely fit the vibe because like you said the color like hues of what the final film, the blues and the blacks, we loved
Good.
Yeah,
all of that.
so
Yeah.
beautiful.
It
So
made
great.
it was beautiful. It was
Yeah,
absolutely beautiful.
yeah, I'm really pleased with that. I think at the time it felt quite like extreme, the color grade. I mean, it's not really, but at the time it looked quite different. But we really wanted to sort of, yeah, like give it quite a narrow palette.
Mhm.
Um, which I think worked. It worked really well, and it kind of gives you a sense of the period as well. Because when you first watch like the raw footage before you grade it, it looks so ugly, and I was like, "Oh
Oh,
my God, what have I done? I've spent so much money and wasted everyone's time, and this is a nightmare." And then, like, eventually, now when I watch it back, I'm like, "It looks really good. What was I thinking?"
yeah. All the
Yeah.
rocks and the grass, everything like it
Mhm.
really pops out, and I love that
Yeah.
a lot.
Hmm.
Um, I know we were just talking about like the winds and everything, but what time of the year was this being shot in?
It was May. I think it was the first week of
Okay.
May or the last week
Okay.
of April. So it should
Hmm.
have been, I was expecting it to be fairly sunny. Like I had a
Mhm.
scene where she was hanging her washing out in the sunshine to dry.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, she's not doing her washing.
Never mind.
Never mind.
Never mind. Um, and I was incredibly stressed because the weather reports were getting worse and worse and worse. And I was like, I think we're just going to do it because I don't know what else to do. I've done so much work to make this happen. And at the time when we were shooting it, I was like, everyone hates me because I brought them here in this awful weather. But afterwards, everyone was a little bit pissed off. Like towards the end of the day, they were like, can we just go now? I'm like,
Yeah.
one more, let's just do one more take.
One more,
Um,
one more.
There's always one
and
more.
yeah, and then afterwards, everyone was like, yeah, that was really hard, but that was like amazing experience. And everyone was kind of like buzzed to be involved, even though, and probably partly because it was so hard, everyone was like really invigorated by it, I think.
Hmm.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Anna, you got anything?
Are you a fan of horror? Is that the direction you wanted to take this, or is it just kind of where it happened to
It's funny
go?
you should ask that, really, because I've not historically really been a fan of horror.
Hmm.
And then it didn't really actually occur to me that I was making a horror film until it was like done. And I was like, okay, well, if this is horror, then I do really like horror. Um,
Right.
I think, like, well, it's like you were saying about Pan's Labyrinth. I mean, I think Pan's Labyrinth is terrifying. It's that sort
Yeah.
of dark folklore. Obviously,
Fantasy.
folk
Yeah.
horror is a whole genre in and of itself, which I think is where I'd probably put myself.
Hmm.
But as I was sort of realizing this, I obviously started to watch a lot more horror, and I was like, do you know what? I think as an audience member, this is giving me so much more than any other genre because I care about what's happening on screen, and I'm like, the
Absolutely.
chemistry of what's happening in my body as I'm watching is changing like moment to moment. Whereas I could watch like a drama or something, and I'm just kind of like, when can I next look at my phone? Basically.
Hmm.
Whereas if I'm watching a good horror, it's riveting. And
Yes.
Hmm.
as a director, that's just what you want. You want people to be glued to your story. So I think that is where I am. I'm never going to be kind of like a bloodthirsty slasher horror kind of
Sure.
storyteller, I don't think.
Sure.
Maybe I will.
Maybe.
Maybe a few
Maybe.
heads will come off at some point. But I think as long as it's doing that to the audience, like, as it's riveting and exciting and like thrilling,
Hmm.
then I think I'm into horror.
Yeah, I
No,
mean,
for
and
Yeah.
sure.
look at Guillermo del Toro. Like we're gonna bring him back up. Like Pan's Labyrinth isn't traditionally a horror movie. It
No.
has horror elements with the fairy tale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kronos is not necessarily a horror movie, but there is scary shit that happens in it.
Yeah.
Right.
Shape of Water is a retelling of Creature from the Black Lagoon. You
Hmm.
know, it's stuff like that that I find fascinating because I'm into over here we have cryptids. You know, like
Yeah.
I'm really into the monsters that we
Right.
don't necessarily can't prove is real, but can
Oh,
be.
right, right, right. Yeah.
I love that shit. And then, like I said, when we watched this, your fish dude that water was freezing, and that fish man was in there full bodied.
Well, that was That was, I mean, yes, in the story, not in real
Oh,
life.
oh,
No,
okay.
Oh,
I
okay.
was like,
no
wait
one
a
was in
minute.
there.
Did he get a bunch of towels?
No, 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 no one was actually in the water. I think at one
Okay,
point he was
good.
like, I'll go in the water. Let me in the water. And I was like, no, no, I don't need you I don't need you to go into the water.
Pneumonia, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, luckily, and maybe this is my time to sort of clap back on the effect.
Sure. I wanna I
Um,
wanna
Yeah,
hear more.
Dustin. Yeah,
Hey,
Duston.
I
um,
loved it.
Anna, let's pay attention.
I know that you
I
didn't say
love this
anything mean,
film.
and all you were saying was actually was really nice that you wanted more. My only defense is I don't have any money
Yeah,
and it
budget,
costs a lot
sure.
of money to make to do
No,
it.
sure.
Right. Yeah.
So that was the only reason really there wasn't more. There were yeah, so let me explain. Basically, I work in video games and I work for a production company where we have like a VFX department. And I was like, oh, would you mind if I just gave you a little something?
Just
Um,
Nice.
do me a favor.
yeah, we did actually record because my job is I direct like motion capture and
Mhm.
voice in games.
Yeah.
And so we did do motion capture for him, like running on all fours into the water, which ended up not being used because of miscommunication. But anyway, they animated it. I did have to pay. I still did have
Yeah.
to pay, which
Sure.
if anyone from
Mhm.
my company is listening, next
Yeah.
time I'd love a freebie.
Cut
Um,
her a deal.
yeah, come on. So yeah, I did still have to pay, but it was mates rates, obviously, to a point.
Hmm.
And yeah, my only defense is it costs a lot of money.
Sure. Oh
No,
yeah,
Right.
And that
no.
was
and
about as much as I could actually it actually got to the point where I had spent all the budget. I had very much spent the budget. And
Mhm.
then I was like, okay, now VFX because
Yeah.
I produced it myself. I never made anything before. And I
Hmm.
didn't have a plan and I didn't do things in the right order. Um, so then they were like, how much have you got to spend? And I was like, uh, don't this number? And they were like, yay. So I wish I'd just said less.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But no,
No.
I think it came from where we were all so excited about this short that we just wanted more because
Yes.
Yeah.
again, it's just
Hmm.
we were so enthralled with the story that we're like, fuck, we just need a full length now. We need
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
a
I
full
I
length of
want
this.
it. I want it.
and
Yeah.
oh, let me just mention if you pause it, I think you mentioned that on your review, you didn't want to freeze and go back to the VFX, but
Oh
if
yeah.
you pause it when the egg, when he vomits up the egg, um,
Hmm.
there is like a little thing inside it. That's VFX. There's like something wriggling around inside there, which I don't think
Oh.
Oh, I
anyone's
didn't notice
ever
that.
noticed. No, I don't, no one's
No.
ever mentioned it to me. But there's a
Hmm.
little thing and there's a little sound effect. And there's a reason why I didn't like a lot of the VFX is quite hard to see. I made it quite purposefully. I think when you see things with your own eyes in the real world, it's like you were saying about cryptids, you catch a sighting of something and you're like, what was that? I really wanted it to be as if we're seeing it through her eyes and it's not clear. He's in the dark. Did I see what I think I saw? And the VFX was good enough. I could have had it like front and center, you know,
Hmm.
No,
brightly lit.
sure, yeah.
I think it looks so much better if you can't really see it. So I'm really
Agreed.
proud of that choice.
Yeah,
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 let's
for
have to go
sure.
back and watch it now. Again.
yeah.
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 I have it pulled up. It's one of my tabs right
Oh,
One
here.
of the
Oh yeah.
tabs.
But
another one.
it's left to interpretation because we were all talking about that when he gets on all fours. Firstly and foremost,
I was like,
that's one of the
what?
scariest looking things in
Yeah, that
any
was
horror movie
crazy.
is when someone's running at you on all fours.
Yeah.
But then I noticed he did start dragging his back half of his body. I'm like, he's fucking transforming right in
Yep.
front of
And we
us.
see
Oh.
it. We do see that, which I really
Hmm.
do
Yeah.
like.
So
That's
Loved
what made me
great.
it.
want to see more of it. It's like, oh, we see him right there.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to see more of this thing. But I understand, budgets and all that stuff. Like that's just me being a horror fan and a creature fan. It's like
Yes.
I
Like, I want
need
more.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They did a really good job. They definitely did. They did a lot of work. Like they
Mhm.
even had like a paddling pool. I don't know if like a little inflatable pool
Mhm.
in the studio filled with water. They were like capturing water drops or
Oh
something.
wow, that's really cool.
Oh,
They worked so hard on it.
Oh
very
Nice.
yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
So, are you able to talk about anything you have upcoming? Like, do you have anything in the works? Any cool short? You mentioned you had another short
Yeah.
that you had produced or
Yes.
directed and
So
written.
my second, actually, I didn't produce the second one.
Oh,
Thank
okay.
God. I managed to get some because and subsequently, like my health is a lot better having done
Right.
that second one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the second one is psychological thriller horror. Um, it is contemporary, which I'm really glad I kind of had to go at, although I do want to return to like a period thing. Um, and it's about a woman who finds an abandoned baby and is then stalked by the mother of the baby that
Ah,
abandoned it.
Oh,
Mm.
interesting. I'm sold.
yep,
Yeah, I'm in, dude.
Yeah,
I'm fucking in.
that sounds
me
so
too.
great.
So yeah, she the film's been kind of like doing the festival circuit. It's been doing good. And yeah, now we're kind of heading towards looking for a place for it to land. Like it may just end up similarly to Fishwife, like on a platform like Alta.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know yet, but I'll let you know.
Yeah,
Yes,
no,
Yeah,
we're
please
I want to check
do.
that out.
highly
Sounds awesome.
interested.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. And then I am developing feature film, which I can't say too much about, but
That's
yeah, it's
okay.
in the works. In the works.
Hell yeah.
Congratulations. That's
Thank you.
awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, keep your eyes peeled. I feel like if it happens, it's gonna be so good.
I'm
It's gonna be
excited.
good. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen.
Yes.
Did you
Yes.
guys have anything else?
Um, I didn't know if you wanted to have anything else for Fishwife, because I have a couple other questions
Yeah. Oh
that's
yeah, go ahead.
outside of that. So,
Yeah.
you mentioned video games, and I'm a
Yep.
gamer,
Yep. Me too.
and we looked at your IMDb and we saw some stuff.
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah. Ever heard of it?
I was explaining to Hannah how much records it broke.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep, won
I had no
awards.
idea. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
That's
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah, it was great. So to anyone listening who doesn't know, I directed not by myself, but there was a team of us. But I was the senior voice director and senior casting director. So meaning I directed the actors and I cast a bunch of the roles, not all of them. And yeah, so I was on that for 4.5 years, directing on that, and it was yeah,
Wow.
long, long
Mm-hmm.
and intense job, but so fun. And it was one of those things that was like, I had no idea it was going to be what it is at the time. I was just like, yeah, Monday morning, here we go, another script about wizards.
Right. Yeah.
Um, and now it's like iconic, just like an iconic game. So
Yeah.
I'm proud to have spent so long on that game.
Yeah, for sure.
Where's the 2 day filming at? I want to get
Yeah,
back to 2 day filming.
yeah,
No, but
yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome. Baldur's Gate 3 is pretty rad. And I was explaining to Anna that about D&D
Yeah,
essentially,
yeah,
and I have a fond love for that stuff. So
yeah.
yeah. It
It
was
was,
great. It was definitely like I don't think we realized at the time like how lucky we were. But then, if we knew what a big deal it was going to be, then maybe it would have been like high pressure, a lot of stress. But at the time, because we didn't know, it was just very playful and very fun, and we just love doing it. And there's so many ridiculous, crazy, scary, nasty characters and funny characters in that. Um, and yeah, but I'm very lucky because that's like my bread and butter basically. So this year I did Black Myth Wukong, which is
yeah.
quite a big one as well, and Metaphor Refantasio, which was also quite a big hit.
Nice.
That's
So yeah,
Nice.
so insane
yeah,
because I've been gaming my entire life, and to be talking to somebody who was part of those and also talking to them about a short that we love, it's insane, like the worlds that collide there.
Hmm.
How did voice acting kind of come to you with directing all that? Was that something you've always liked,
no.
like with gaming?
No, no, completely random. So random. It was literally, I was an actor before and I had a baby. I took some time out and then I was like, I just need to make some money. I don't know how I'm going to do that. And there was literally a job posting like on a local jobs board. I don't know
Interesting.
quite what the studio were thinking really. Um, but I was like, I think I could do that. I think I could do that. And I think I could convince someone that I could do that. And lo and behold, that was my Baldur's Gate 3. That was my first job in the industry. It was directing.
What?
It was,
Wow. Good for
Good
you
Yeah.
job.
for saying I'm gonna go for it and
That's it.
you
Yeah.
got
Yes.
it. That's great.
Well, I hear that women are much worse at selling themselves and men are much more likely to go in and say, like, oversell, and women are much more likely to undersell. And I was like, not today.
That's
Uh,
Not
it.
today.
so yeah.
So, so I also we have your like I said, we were IMDb pulled up, and I want to talk a little bit about Bloody Bites. Uh,
Yeah.
can, what was your experience like on that?
Well, Bloody Bites, I just got an email from the guy who owns it and was like, can I like have your film on the channel?
Oh,
Um, that's what that is, right?
Yeah, I think it's Bloody Disgusting, right? Bloody Disgusting is Bloody
Yeah.
Bites thing.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's on Screenbox, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
all shorts, right? I think it's like
Yeah,
all
yeah.
shorts.
Yes. Lovely guy, very pleasant. I mean, it was basically being involved in that was just an admin moment for me. I was like, sure, here's the file.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Good. And I'll
Uh,
sign the contract.
oh, short and sweet, easy
Yeah.
peasy. That's what
Yep.
I'm
Yeah,
talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know what I was doing really. As I say, I'm not really a producer. I mean, I'm learning as I go along, but
sure.
yeah,
That's the
that
best way to do it. Learn as you go
yeah,
along.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Anna, you got anything to close us out?
Um, well, did you catch any horror movies of 2024 that kind of caught your eye, or maybe just movies in general? Because it was a great year for film.
Yeah, what have I watched? Like, over the last week, I watched a couple of 70s, well, they're not actually from the 70s, but over the last week, I've watched Late Night with the Devil and
Oh
Longneck.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh, very
I'm
nice.
like really in 70s this week.
Hmm.
And yeah, Late Night with the Devil, I just really appreciated the commitment to the concept and how they took us through it, in real time. Um, it just trod that line between like this could be hilarious and really disturbing and really emotional. So yeah, I loved it. And then Longlegs, actually, I don't know what kind of critical reception that got, but that was a really classy film, I thought,
I
and
love
really
long legs.
really good
it's
storytelling, really scary and disturbing and suffocating and stylish.
yeah,
Yes, I
yeah.
Mm.
agree.
No,
Great
it
description.
it ruled. Late Night with the Devil. It was such a refreshing take on found footage.
Hmm.
And Dan Desmachian is so charming in that movie that you believe he's like this Johnny Carson character.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah.
and it's amazing. And it's also like the story that this told, like the story behind the scenes, like the hoops they had to jump through to get that movie actually made
Really,
was, yeah, it was crowdfunded, then they ran out of money, then they went to another country to film it, but they had to get a grant
I think
from
they
the
filmed it in
country.
Australia, I
Yeah, I
want
think
to
it was
say.
Australia.
I
Yeah.
think yeah. So they had to get a grant from the government to actually finish the movie, which just the hoops that people go through, man, and
Yeah.
it's just amazing. And the product speaks for itself.
so
Hmm.
good.
Yeah,
So good. Yeah, yeah. I must look into like how they did it because now that I'm like determined to make a feature film, I'm really fascinated by like how does one do that? Uh,
yeah.
that
Do you
sounds
look do you look at movies like with that critical eye now too? Like when it comes to like
yes.
editing and producing and all that stuff?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
good.
it's I can't just like take a night off if I'm going to watch a movie. Like that's definitely work. Like I have my notepad out literally
Yeah,
Hmm.
when I'm watching something. But that's good because I am quite susceptible to horror and I do want to make horror, but horror is not necessarily scary to me anymore because I'm like, okay, how did they do that? Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
hmm
Hmm.
You're
You're
like,
right.
oh, this is a very slow shot. This is very scary. Good.
yeah.
It's like you're in on the magic trick now.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
good. It like really tickles my brain in the right way. It's like it's so exciting to have found something that you love so much. I don't think, I've only found it in the last few years, and
Hmm.
now it just feels really good. It's like you're just hungry to like feed yourself.
Yeah,
Yes.
for
yeah.
sure.
Horror
I
got
think,
another one, guys.
yes,
Yeah.
Team
for
horror.
sure. Well, if you have not checked out The Substance yet, highly
I
recommend that.
I did watch that, and do you
Oh,
know
you
what? It
did?
was
Okay.
disgusting. It was so revolting, but really,
Yeah.
that medical horror, like I don't think that's been done enough. I mean, obviously it probably will be now, but yeah,
Sure.
that was
Yeah.
rancid, but
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah, body horror is where it's at. We just got Street Trash not too long ago either from Ryan Kruger. it's a reimagining loose sequel to the 80s movie,
Yeah.
but
Right.
it's just like that. I always refer to it as like the Andy Warhol horror movie because it's not blood, it's greens and purples and yellows,
Yeah,
oozes that are
it's
coming.
interesting.
It's it's pretty tight. I mean, it's as gross as the substance when it comes to the body horror part, but it's almost comical
Yeah.
because it's not blood. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah, if you get a
Interesting.
chance to check that one out, that one's pretty fun.
Yeah, I
I
think
Yeah.
will.
that's just landing in the UK now. I think Ryan's doing a screening at the Prince Albert Theater. I think he's there
Yeah.
this week, I think. So,
You're
Oh,
on top of
nice.
the film news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Hey, film news.
Yes. Well, Beth, thank you so much for joining us. This was an absolute treat. And anything you've got coming up, we just can't wait for it. And we'll definitely cover it
Oh,
on here. And thank you so much again for joining us.
thank you so much for having me. It was a real pleasure.
Of
Yeah, it
course.
was
And,
great.
and if you guys haven't watched Fishwife, go do yourself a favor.
Hmm.
It's on YouTube, max 17 minutes. It's fucking worth it.
Yes.
Yep.
Go and watch it
And play Baldur Gates 3.
and play Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah. After you finish it.
Same time, at the same time,
At the
man.
same
Same
time. No,
time.
they've got to pay attention to the short.
Oh,
They can't
sorry.
miss
Sorry.
anything.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, let's stop that.
Oh, it's okay. Did you have
No,
something
no,
else?
no, 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 it's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
That's off-air talk.
Off-air talk.
Yeah, this was great. Well, thank you so much for being here. And as always, we'll catch everybody in the next one.
Later.
Bye.